Ladies and gentlemen, there's a universal truth we all must confront. Time is the most precious commodity we possess, yet it is often the most squandered. How many of us have looked back and said, "If only I knew then what I know now"? But let me remind you today, your wasted years are not the end of your story. Time is the one resource we all have in common. No matter where you are in life, each day offers the same 24 hours, the same opportunity to make an impact, and the same potential to move closer to fulfilling your purpose. Yet, how we use that time determines the trajectory of our lives. Many people squander years chasing after temporary satisfaction, pursuing goals that lack eternal significance, or simply drifting without direction. The painful realization often comes too late. Time cannot be rewound. But here is the good news: while time itself may not return, its value can be redeemed when aligned with divine purpose. When we understand the reason for our existence, every moment, no matter how insignificant it may seem, becomes charged with meaning. The life spent in pursuit of purpose transforms wasted years into stepping stones for a restored future. Mistakes and failures no longer define us. They become the tools through which we learn, grow, and prepare for a greater assignment. Restoration begins with recognizing the purpose for which you were created. Without purpose, time is just motion without meaning. However, when you discover your purpose, you begin to see how every misstep, every delay, and every disappointment can be orchestrated for your ultimate good. God specializes in redeeming what seems lost. He doesn't just give back what was taken, He multiplies it. Purpose is the multiplier of time. When you align your life with it, even the years you thought were wasted can yield a harvest beyond your imagination. Purpose redeems time because it allows you to live intentionally, creating a ripple effect that stretches far beyond what you can see. It turns past regrets into future rewards, proving that nothing in your life has been wasted. Failure is a universal experience, yet its impact on each of us is profoundly personal. The sting of disappointment and the regret of wasted opportunities can leave us feeling disqualified from greatness. But failure, when viewed through the lens of restoration, is not an end, it's a seed. The seed must fall to the ground and appear to die before it can sprout into something greater. In the same way, the failures of your past have the potential to yield extraordinary success when placed in the hands of God. What we often forget is that failure is one of life's greatest teachers. It exposes weaknesses, refines our character, and teaches us resilience. Without it, we wouldn't grow. But growth alone isn't the goal. The goal is transformation. The seed of failure doesn't remain in its original form. It transforms into something far greater than what was initially planted. Divine restoration takes your failures and weaves them into a story of triumph. It turns what was meant to harm you into something that propels you forward. The wasted years spent in failure are not lost. They are raw materials ready to be shaped into a testimony that inspires others and glorifies God. The key to this transformation lies in perspective. If you focus solely on the pain of failure, you will remain stuck. But if you see failure as preparation, as the groundwork for a greater purpose, you unlock its potential to serve you. Failure doesn't disqualify you, it qualifies you for a future that requires wisdom, humility, and perseverance. Remember, no seed produces fruit overnight. The process of restoration may take time, but the harvest will far exceed what you ever imagined. Trust the process and let every failure become a stepping stone to success. Transformation begins with recognition. You cannot change what you refuse to acknowledge. Many people live in denial about their wasted years, masking regret with distractions or blaming others for their lack of progress. Yet the first step toward divine restoration is to face the truth. It's not about dwelling on the past, but understanding where time and opportunities were misused so you can move forward with clarity and purpose. Recognition is a moment of awakening. It's when the scales fall from your eyes and you begin to see your life as it truly is, not through the lens of excuses, but with a heart ready for change. This is not a moment of condemnation, It's a moment of grace. When you recognize where you've gone astray, you position yourself to receive wisdom, direction, and the restoration God has prepared for you. It's easy to feel overwhelmed when you see how much time has been wasted, but God's power is not limited by your past. What you must understand is that recognition is not the end of the journey, it is the beginning. It is the moment when you surrender your wasted years to God and trust Him to redeem them. Through recognition, you open the door for transformation. You begin to see patterns in your life that need to change, relationships that need to be redefined, and habits that need to be broken. Recognition empowers you to make intentional choices about your future, guided by divine wisdom rather than impulsive desires. The beauty of recognition is that it brings hope. When you face your wasted years with honesty and humility, you unlock the possibility of restoration. God can take every broken piece of your past and create something more beautiful and purposeful than you could ever imagine. When we think of restoration, our minds often picture the simple return of what was lost. But divine restoration is far greater than a mere replacement. It is an act of multiplication. God's principle of restoration goes beyond human understanding. He doesn't just give you back what you once had. He increases it, making it better, richer, and more impactful than before. This multiplication is evident in the stories of many who have experienced divine restoration. For every year of struggle, their blessings were multiplied. For every opportunity missed, new and greater doors were opened. The power of restoration lies in its ability to transform loss into abundance. What you thought was a setback becomes a setup for a greater comeback, and what was stolen is returned with increase. Multiplication is not accidental, it is intentional. God's plan for restoration is always designed to exceed what was lost, so that His glory is revealed in your life. It's not just about restoring material possessions or time, it's about restoring your joy, peace, relationships, and purpose in a way that magnifies His grace. The process of restoration often involves preparation. God won't multiply what you're not ready to handle. During the waiting period, He works on your character, your faith, and your capacity to steward the blessings He is preparing to multiply. It's not just about what He gives back, it's about what He builds within you. Trust in His timing and His ability to multiply beyond your expectations. Whatever you think you've lost is no match for what He can restore. When God restores, He ensures that the new is far greater than the old. His restoration is a reminder that nothing lost in Him is ever truly lost. It's only being prepared for something far greater. Restoration is not merely about regaining what was lost, it is about rediscovering and realigning with your divine purpose. Time wasted without purpose is not simply lost, it is misused. But here is the profound truth. God doesn't just restore time, He restores the reason for which time was given in the first place. He brings you back to the core of why you were created, ensuring that what remains of your life will be more impactful than all the years that seemed squandered. Purpose is the anchor of restoration. Without it, time regained is simply an opportunity to repeat the same mistakes. When you rediscover your purpose, every moment becomes meaningful, every decision intentional, and every action aligned with God's greater plan for your life. Your wasted years, no matter how many, are not beyond redemption when they are reconnected to purpose. God's restoration is holistic. He doesn't just mend broken pieces. He rebuilds with a purpose-driven design. The lessons you learned in your mistakes, the wisdom gained through trials, and the strength forged in adversity all serve a divine purpose. Your struggles are not wasted. They are the training ground for the fulfillment of your destiny. Living with restored purpose transforms your perspective. You stop viewing time as something to be filled and begin to see it as an opportunity to fulfill. Your days become a platform to glorify God, to serve others, and to leave a legacy that far outlasts your years. Divine restoration ensures that even the years you regret are not beyond use. He weaves them into His plan, ensuring that the latter part of your life will surpass the former. In Him, every moment, no matter how lost it seemed, becomes a part of a story of purpose and triumph. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks the door to restoration. Many people live trapped in the pain of their past, holding on to resentment, regret, or bitterness, which only deepens the wounds caused by wasted years. What they don't realize is that unforgiveness doesn't punish those who hurt you, it punishes you. It keeps you bound to the very moments you wish to move beyond. Forgiveness, however, sets you free, creating space for God's restoration to flow into your life. Forgiveness is not about dismissing or excusing what happened. It's about releasing yourself from the control of the past. It's an act of surrender, a decision to trust God to bring justice and healing rather than seeking it through your own efforts. When you forgive, you release the weight of anger, bitterness, and resentment, making room for peace, joy, and restoration to take root in your heart. True forgiveness doesn't just restore relationships, it restores you. It brings healing to emotional wounds that may have festered for years, allowing you to step into a future unburdened by the baggage of the past. It's a declaration that your future will not be defined by what others did to you, but by what God can do through you. Forgiveness also requires humility. It's an acknowledgement that we all fall short, that we all make mistakes, and that we all need grace. When you choose to forgive, you align yourself with God's heart, a heart that forgives unconditionally and restores completely. In the process of divine restoration, forgiveness is non-negotiable. It is the bridge between your past and your future, the act that transforms pain into purpose and allows you to experience the fullness of God's restoration. Without forgiveness, true restoration cannot begin. A renewed mind is the foundation for restored years. The way you think shapes the way you live. And if your thoughts remain trapped in the patterns that led to wasted years, restoration will remain out of reach. Transformation begins in the mind, and it is through the renewal of your thinking that God brings about restoration in every area of your life. The mind is powerful. It is the control center of your decisions, actions, and habits. If you believe you are a victim of your past, you will live as one. But if you embrace the truth that God can restore what was lost, your perspective will shift, and you will begin to live with hope, purpose, and confidence. A renewed mind sees possibilities where others see problems and opportunities where others see obstacles. Renewing your mind requires intentional effort. It is not a one-time event, but an ongoing process of replacing old, limiting beliefs with God's truth. This process begins with identifying the lies you've believed, whether about yourself, your potential, or your future, and replacing them with the promises of God. It means shifting from a mindset of scarcity to one of abundance, from fear to faith, and from regret to restoration. The renewal of your mind also equips you to break free from destructive patterns that contributed to wasted years. It empowers you to make better decisions, embrace healthier relationships, and pursue goals aligned with God's purpose for your life. As your thinking changes, so does your life. Restoration flows from a transformed mind because a renewed mind aligns with God's will. It allows you to see your life through His eyes, recognizing that no time is truly wasted when it is surrendered to Him. With a renewed mind, restoration becomes not just possible but inevitable. Your future is not determined by your past. Too often people allow their past mistakes, failures, and missed opportunities to define their identity and limit their potential. They believe the narrative that their best days are behind them, but this is a lie. Restoration begins when you embrace the truth that your past does not have the final say over your life. What happened before may have shaped you, but it does not define you. God's plan for your life is not canceled because of your mistakes or the time you feel you've wasted. In fact, He specializes in using broken pieces to create a masterpiece. The beauty of restoration is that it redefines your future by reframing your past. What once seemed like wasted time becomes part of a greater story, a story of redemption, growth, and triumph. To move forward, you must stop living in the shadow of regret. Dwelling on what could have been only robs you of the opportunity to build what can still be. When you let go of the past, you open yourself to the possibilities of the future. It's not about forgetting where you've been, but about refusing to let it dictate where you're going. God's restoration is forward-looking. It takes what was broken and makes it better. It takes the years you thought were lost and uses them to prepare you for a greater purpose. Your past becomes a testimony of God's grace, proof that He can turn any situation around. Your future is determined by what you choose to believe and how you choose to act today. I trust that God is not finished with you. He is able to do exceedingly more than you can ask or imagine, transforming even the most painful past into a powerful, restored future. Faith is the foundation of divine restoration. Without faith, it is impossible to see beyond the pain of wasted years or believe that restoration is even possible. Faith is not wishful thinking. It is a confident assurance in the power and promises of God. It looks at what is broken and declares that healing is on the way. It sees what is lost and proclaims that restoration is coming. Faith is the fuel that drives transformation. It empowers you to take steps forward even when the path seems unclear. It reminds you that God is not limited by time, resources, or circumstances. The years you thought were wasted are no obstacle for Him. Faith allows you to trust that He can bring beauty out of ashes and multiply what you thought was gone forever. Living by faith means refusing to be defined by what you see in the natural. It requires you to shift your focus from what was lost to what God is capable of restoring. Faith sees beyond the present and envisions a future filled with hope, purpose, and abundance. It's not passive, it demands action. Faith calls you to pray, to believe, and to align your decisions with the conviction that God's restoration is at work in your life. Faith also sustains you during the waiting period. Restoration often takes time, and it can be tempting to grow weary or doubt when progress isn't immediate. But faith gives you the strength to persevere, knowing that God is faithful to complete what He has started. When you live by faith, you invite God into every area of your life, trusting Him to restore not only what was lost, but also to make it better than before. Faith turns wasted years into a testimony of His power and grace. Restoration is not a solo endeavor, it is a partnership with God. While He is the one who initiates the process of restoration, we are called to cooperate with His plans and follow His direction. Divine restoration is not passive, it requires active participation. It is a journey of surrender, trust, and obedience, where God works in us and through us to bring about transformation. To partner with God in restoration means to submit our brokenness, our past, and our mistakes into His hands, trusting that He will use them for His glory and our good. We must be willing to let go of control and allow God to lead us in the way of restoration. He does not force His will upon us, but gently invites us to follow His lead step by step, knowing that His plans for us are always better than our own. This partnership also means being receptive to His guidance. God will often lead us to make changes in our lives, whether it's breaking unhealthy habits, mending relationships, or stepping into new opportunities. These decisions require faith and obedience. Restoration will not happen if we hold on to what God is asking us to release. By walking in alignment with His direction, we open ourselves up to the fullness of His restorative power. Furthermore, partnering with God in restoration means that we align our desires with His will. As we seek His guidance and trust His timing, we begin to align our heart with His purposes. The restoration process becomes a collaborative effort where God's power meets our willingness to act in faith. The results of this partnership are far greater than anything we could have achieved on our own. When we actively partner with God in the process of restoration, He takes what is broken and makes it beautiful, revealing a life that is more purposeful and fruitful than we could ever imagine. In conclusion, transforming wasted years into divine restoration is not just a dream, it is a reality when we align ourselves with God's purpose and trust in His ability to redeem all things. No matter how many years seem lost, God is able to restore them in ways that exceed our expectations. Time, when used with purpose, becomes an instrument of growth and transformation. Failure becomes a stepping stone to success, and every setback is an opportunity for a greater comeback. The journey of restoration begins with recognizing the wasted years, then embracing forgiveness and allowing our minds to be renewed. We must have faith that God can turn our past into something beautiful, and trust that His timing is perfect. As we partner with Him, we take intentional steps towards the future He has prepared for us, one filled with purpose, abundance, and fulfillment. No matter how impossible restoration may seem, God's grace is sufficient to restore not just the years, but also our hearts, our purpose, and our potential. So let go of regret, hold on to faith, and trust that with God, all things are possible. Your wasted years are not the end, they are the beginning of something greater. You see, restoration is not just about retrieving what was lost, it is about receiving a greater measure than you ever had before. The principle of divine restoration operates on this truth. What God, thank you.